morning, everyone. Welcome to more of our life, beginnings and always. Today, as I left off yesterday, I think we were at step 2, adolescence, and we were in the middle of having Cove sneak into our bedroom. So, because he was like sad about his mom, and we're comforting him, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah. So, yeah, let's continue. Okay. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. It was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. Ooh. Where are we? Depends on where are we. Are we on the bed or it okay, on the bed. We're sitting next to him. If I was in that position, I would probably pat his back. You easily were able to reach out and softly pat his back. It wasn't much, but you hoped that the contact would help even a little bit. Cove blinked, startled, before his expression softened into something more natural. Conversations were stilted and broken often by silence at first, then both of you were able to get into your usual candor. Aww. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped the day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cove felt the same. That's nice! That's so nice! I like that. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your peachy skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. Welcome, Rock and Melody! Thank you for coming by again! You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together, trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stay snuggled up for a little while longer. Until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. Kya! A man in my bed! He never left! He was still there in the morning! You laughed out loud. Probably I would just laugh. He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. Like, just get on the bed, bro! Like, it's fine. With your laugh, Cove's eyes snapped open, and his head slipped from its source of support. He didn't stop going down until he smacked right into the floor with a crack. Poor baby. You clamped a hand over your mouth and looked down on him with wide eyes, curled up where he had landed rather ungracefully.
Aww.
I would laugh even more. I would laugh more, and then I'll say, are you okay? Cove gave you an appreciative look, but you couldn't help it. That was too funny. If either of your moms found out that Cove had slept here last night, the two of you would be in big trouble. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind.
Oh my god!
His voice cracked! That is so adorable! I fell asleep! You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove stopped mid-step, and you wanted to ask what he had been searching for, but you guessed he wouldn't know the answer to that himself. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. It's going to be alright. Like, chill. You just need to leave before anyone notices you're here. If they knew, we wouldn't hear about it already. We would have heard about it already. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all of this had played out, but hoped that was true. Yeah, see you later, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. What a good boy! Thanks. Again. You're a good friend, Vere. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. But you were let go before you had a chance to respond, or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed over your bed and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Cove fearlessly stepped out onto the ledge. I'll wish him luck. Good luck! Don't fall off my roof. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other with increasing speed until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go to try keeping watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped down the ground. He threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. With a little sigh, you reclosed your door. Deciding there was nothing more you could do, you hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. Is there no option to brush my teeth? I'll just leave. It was too early to do anything else. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked at you over immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting.
Why?
Why are you being so weird? You hadn't even done anything! Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. Your eyes flickered left and right as you sighed, stepped her, and headed towards the kitchen. Vere? Shrug it off? I would shrug it off. I'm not. Spoke so nonchalantly you almost thought she believed you. But you knew better. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately she rolled her eyes, and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Whatever. And then she walked straight out of the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad about it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace, and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they made. Hash browns, an omelette, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links. I'm jealous. I took a little of everything. It was tasty. You appreciated that there were a variety in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. Pulled up in the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was a perfect balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he left that morning, and you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now? Or to call him to check on him? Check in. Stepped out of your house, still stuck in an internal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention.
Hi.
Ooh, hello. Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you. A friendly smile plastered on her face. Cove's mom? You racked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not your school or from the country club your moms took you to. Had absolutely no idea who the woman was. The woman crossed the road up towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you should stay put or go back into the house and lock the door. Hell, that's Cove's mom for sure. Her hair is green. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I've heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head, and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from her own house. She was Cove's mom! You didn't know why you hadn't realized it sooner now that you have gotten a good look at her. She looked really young. She was super pretty. She seems nice. It made sense that she was Cove's mom. They had the same eyes and other physical traits in common. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt a little taken aback you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrist. I'm Kira. Prissy? You can call me Kira. Shake her hand, of course. You reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours firmly, grinning wide. I'm Vere, but you already know that.
That I do.
Cove's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Vere. Tata, I skipped something. Cove talked to you about his mom. He hadn't mentioned how he said things about you to her. What has Cove said about me? Oh, I can't tell you that. I've already said too much. She laughed good-naturedly. You couldn't be happy about that answer, though. The sound of a door opening and closing caught both your attentions, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he had grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side, for an adult anyway. Cove's height must have come from his father.
My baby!
My baby, she says. How cute. There you are. I thought you were gonna keep me standing out here all day. She tried to catch Cove's eye as he walked towards you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. Babe, you're being way too obvious. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he had acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordlessly express that you understood. Mommy, right? She is his mommy, so... Can I date her? No, I'm sorry. Too bad. Cove and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Eh? What the heck is a snore at work? Is this an English slang I don't understand? Am I stupid? Kira beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore she was talking about was Mr. Holden. I need this company to make a game like this where I date the parents. There is one called Dream Daddy, however you date guys. So, yeah. Unfortunate for you. Hey, you should come with us, Vere. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. There was a pleading tone in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course we'll run it by your parents first. Responsibility and all that.
Any whoosies.
It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roosting on the street for the time being. Any woozies? Let's go! Kira walked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he watched her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us. Not right now. You leaned in closer and whispered, while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Did your dad knew you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. Dad was so focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard him on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning Dad said it was going to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer. Oh. You were surprised to hear that too? Cove sighed again, even heavier. I'll go with you if you really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief. Thanks, that would be cool. This reminds me of the time my friend's mom asked us all to go into karaoke together, and it was so awkward. I don't know how to deal with parents at all. She's so pretty though. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realized that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging out with you. However, after blinking at a woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela.
I see.
I see you've met my kid, Vere, and I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kira laughed, and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kira Priest, Cove's mom. It's so nice to meet you. A head of purple-brown hair caught your eye as Ma popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kira. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands.
Hello.
Hi, Vere. Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly, and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around in the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Aw, I understand. You're welcome to stop by any time.
Of course.
I'll take you up on the offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Vere went with Cove and I? My treat. We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice.
Have fun.
Hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. I guess. You could tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there for him.
Marvelous.
Oh my god, that sounds like a Rune Factory 3 character. Shocked me. Marvelous. Expect us to be back in an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in a taxi. Not too far from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tourist town, isn't it? There's a lot of them around. It was kind of strange to see Cove give someone this much attitude. If he wasn't in the mood to be nice, he generally just kept to himself. Kira put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son. Well, you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really. Kira pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Vere? Wanna point me in the right direction? I'll just nod politely. You had been to a lot of places in town, so you knew a couple of good ones. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sounds like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. She's so chill. He huffed at her and turned his face away. I want Cove to help though. I don't want to just decide. Cove, you pick. You can go through whatever phase you want, but you still gotta stay which restaurant you wanna eat at, Cove. He mumbled sulkily, willing to reject his mom, but not you. What a good boy! I like the tropical place more. That's what I would have gone for too. Okay, so fuck Chinese food then, I guess. I was thinking of Chinese food. With 2 votes in favor of one restaurant, it seemed like it was settled. We can go there.
Thank you.
Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as your Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the 3 of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kira asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kira explained that she lived in a large city, and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Bird. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kira lowered herself into the chair, while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her or to her side. It was awkward. Let's see. To start, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda.
Noted.
Vere? I like juice. Which flavor? Oh, it's Western juice. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Can I go back? No, it's fine. Let's go lemonade. Sure. Kira placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, deciding what to order. Last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kira and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact, started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like all of this was perfectly normal. He's so awkward. Is he okay? Sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions he'd brush off, Kira had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you.
So?
Vere, what's a few things that you're into? There's gotta be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. Wow, that's a lot of things. What do I do for fun? I'm really into Cove. I want to answer that just to be funny, and then I'll pick something else. How about that? I'm really into Cove. Kira let out a sudden laugh and Cove gasped beside you. It was a dramatic enough inhale that he almost choked on the soda. You chuckled at your reactions. That was exactly why you said it. Vere? Cove whispered at you disapprovingly, obscuring part of his face with a hand, but Kira only waved him off and encouraged you to go on. I'm only being honest. What better way to spend time than with Cove? Well, you have something in common. Kira smiled at Cove, who didn't look too impressed by either of you at that moment. Oh, okay. I'm glad I did that then. What should we do? I like gaming, I like reading, I like music. I like hanging out. I guess games are fun. I like to play. And I can and I like to read. And I do everything. Can I just do everything? Fuck! Okay, I can't do everything. A fellow writer! Writing is a great form of expression, don't you think? Kira sighed wistfully, her eyes going soft. And that? Studying in summer. I have to admit, I don't know a lot of people who enjoy that, but hard work is the key to getting what you want in life. Oh. Okay, let's actually do this for real. What would I do? Interesting that they can let us choose everything though. Like, I like games. I like all of these. That's the thing. I like board games, I like video games, and I like card games. I had a phase where all we did, like, with my friend group was go to a board game cafe until the workers memorized our faces. Video games, I guess. I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. Oh, I like board games too. That's great. We should all play a game together sometime. Card games? I like card games too. Maybe we can all play together sometime. I like to read. I read fiction. Me too. Nothing beats curling up with a good book. And manga, I guess? I haven't heard of that style, but I'm sure it's very good. She does look like a normie. And what do? I hang out with people. Hey, it's nice to have friends and family to spend time with. And beach? Well, Cove likes seashells, and I'm sure we hang out with him a lot, so I guess look for seashells? I keep the best ones I find for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. And swimming, of course. You must be a strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I still like to dip my toe sometimes. And, I don't write anymore. I would never say I study willingly. Watch? I watch plays! It's very interesting. That's it. Okay. I watch people, sure. Ooh, people watching is quite the unique hobby. I don't watch people. And, what else? What else can I do? Music or I write things? Well, don't write. That would be lie. Music. Oh, like that. Well, I wish, but I listen to a lot of it. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put some music on. And I've seen some concerts. Awesome. And can I really say everything? Sure, let's write because she likes writing. And then I would never say I'm doing studying. Sports? I guess? I don't like sports though, so watching them, I don't even like. Can I just? Fashion? I don't do fashion. And you didn't say anything else.
Thanks.
I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kira a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Wow. Wow. I'm curious, but I don't think I would ask someone like, why did you get divorced? I am curious though, so I might ask and then reload. Why did you and Mr. Holden get divorced? Cove nudged you in the arm, and when you looked at him, he seemed furious. Kira brushed the question off lightly. That's grown-up stuff. You should enjoy your youth while you can without having to worry about all that. Aw, that's boring. You're not actually answering. What do you like to do? Spending time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock, huh? Where do you live normally? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. And then you couldn't bring yourself to ask another question. It didn't seem to bother her that the conversation dropped off. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. Gave him a sympathetic look. Cove eventually noticed you were watching him, and you gave him a look to let him know you were there for him. took a couple of moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside.
Very cute.
Oh my god. You two seem really cute together. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat.
Seriously?
Oh, Mom, why would you say that? I would just say, I would just laugh, but I want to say thanks, we are cute. I do this with my friends a lot. Like, we would flirt at each other relentlessly and like feed each other and stuff. But it's all in good fun, you know? So, very. Oh, okay, that's it? Just laughed. That's definitely unexpected, and there didn't seem to be any other way you could react. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious, even Cove enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Wait, did his facial expression change?
Okay.
No, it didn't. Boo.
Okay.
Alright, now that we're all full and content, can you explain please why you've had a bug up your butt all day? I like the mom. Cove's face scrunched up at that. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward, not to miss anything else, eyebrows raised. Told you what? Finally seemed to find his voice, and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't gonna visit you this year. That you were gonna be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you? Cove's eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed. I don't. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it would be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table. We've both been gifted another Clifford surprise. She looks so upset. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused both of you and Cove to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs. That's so cute! But smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. You can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option.
I mean...
I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. My heart. She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted the kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop! I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched by the parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. Kira was completely enthused by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too?
No!
Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later. Not today.
It's alright.
I understand. We can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way. And thank you, Vire. Huh? What did I do? Me. My reaction all the time. It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. Oh, really? Oh, that's so cute. Stop. Oh my god. She winked. Mom! She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how this issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. When the three of you left the restaurant, and Kira had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that the lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. But eventually you reach— oh, bro, nice hair. I wish my hair looks that good. But eventually you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family. And Vera, too.
Huh.
Cliff? Dad? Poor Dad! The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? Gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Vera. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kira in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also both your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. I am done! Okay, time to drink, and then let's get started on reading the moments after I drink. I desperately need a drink. Sorry. Wait. The family shopping trip has lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, and a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. Ma came out the front door and paused just ahead of you.
It's no trouble.
Need any help with that, Vere? I can bring it the rest of the way if you want me to. No, I've got it. I'm doing fine. My mom would never. She takes me grocery shopping just so she could have a mule to carry her groceries. It's devastating. Even if it was large, it wasn't really any problem for you. Ma gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your black hair. Set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood.
Be careful!
You hadn't been looking where you were going, and bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes to boot. Sorry. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. She grinned at the bad joke as you continued through the door. Outside, Ma had already started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze.
It's a shame.
You have to spend the morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think? You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse. I wish it was storming! No, I depends. If I'm inside the house, I would like it to be stormy. If I'm outside, cloudy is the best. So, because we're at home, I like it when it's stormy the best. You thought of the past winter, remembering the nip of cool air that would travel off to sea. Didn't snow in Sunset Bird, but being wrapped up in bed, listening to the thunder and lightning gave you a certain sense of peace. I'm just yawning a lot today because it's a lot of text to read, and I didn't drink coffee because drinking coffee is messing my sleep schedule really bad lately. Sorry. I'm impressed you can enjoy something like that. It's a good way to think. You smiled at her, turning back to the trunk to help out with the last of the bags. Oh, hi, Cove. You notice Mom waved at Cove, who had just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm. Let me see. Surfboard and wetsuit. Where might you be off to on this beautiful day? Cove flinched at being called to so suddenly. Hadn't realized there were people out here already, but he quickly recovered. Good one, Mrs. Last. You crossed the pavement to properly say hello to you and your moms. Hello, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I haven't been out on the waves in a long time. I'm jealous. Cove smiled, pleased to have people around who shared in his hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a few good waves before it gets dark. You want to come hang out there later, Bitter? Sure. I'll meet you there when we're done.
Cool.
Can I help out with anything?
No,
what a nice...
no.
What a nice boy! This is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Rita can catch up as soon as she's finished here. Alright, I'll see you. Yeah. You watched as Cove headed off towards the beach, unable to hide your grin, knowing that you'd be joining him soon. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. I've never gone surfing before, so let's just pick the third one. You weren't sure what you were going to do. You were surfing, you didn't know how. You said the same thing to your parents, and while Ma laughed a little, Mom gave you a smile.
Well,
You'll just have to go there and see what happens. Cove must have been so excited to invite you there that he forgot you don't surf. Or he's hoping you'll go to watch him so he can show off. Oh yes, I used to do that. I know, hon. I experienced various situations firsthand. I was stuck on the shore too. You noticed what I was doing? Yes, after the very first time. It's not a subtle move. How embarrassing. I was still impressed.
aw.
Thank you. Dang, nice work, Ma.
Hey,
What are you still doing here? Go on, have fun. You're only young ones, but don't do anything I wouldn't have. Okay. At your parents' prodding, you hurried to leave the house and head down to the beach. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft calls of seagulls. You took in a lungful of the ocean air and felt your peachy skin warm in the sun. You noticed a small setup nearby with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. It must be Cove's. Spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to the sea yet. He was just sitting in the sand at the water's edge, his board propped up beside him. You ran up beside him. Hey, are you waiting for someone? Ah, my mic! My fault for putting my hair behind my ears. Vere? He looked up at you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet. I was wondering if you were still coming. I wouldn't have missed. Sorry you had to wait. You don't have to say that. It's okay. Then he cast his eyes out towards the waves. I'll stay here and watch you surf.
Oh,
You were ready to spread out on your towel and take it easy.
don't worry about it.
I don't have to go out. I'll stay with you on the shore. You're already wearing swimsuits, bro. Just go. Or if you want, you could use one of my other boards. I could teach you. Ooh, I want to try. I'll do it. Let's surf. Cool. It was settled. Cove left up the shore and then returned with an extra board under his arm in no time at all. Do people just casually have extra surfboards? Like, do surfers just have multiple boards? Is this a culture thingy? I don't know. Because back when I was swimming a lot, I only had like one floaty and one board to swim. I never had two. You paddled out into the sea to where the good waves were. The water was cool against your skin.
It's nice.
Not too calm, but nothing crazy. It looks perfect today. You smiled at you and you couldn't help but smile back. You felt totally content. until Cove kicked the water a little too hard and it inadvertently splashed you. Hey! Sorry. That's so cute. The apology did not come across as especially repentant, as he was practically laughing when he said it. I missed one. Oh wait, no, I didn't. I would absolutely splash back. Not fair. He laughed but waited for an opening for revenge. The second he looked away, he kicked back, spraying him.
Seriously?
Is that any way to treat someone trying to help? I came out here to teach you. And I was just following your example? Cove tried to keep a straight face but ended up looking away. The water you flicked at him landed in shiny droplets in his hair. Then here's another lesson. He soaked you deliberately this time! He used his full leg and an impressive curtain of water hits you in the face. I would fight him. You lost your balance and scrambled to keep hold of the board. You just managed to stay on, but it was close. Cove wins. Are you okay? That wasn't what I was trying to do. I'm fine, but we should do the real teaching. Yeah. He chuckled awkwardly and shook some water out of his ear. With that, Cove started telling you all the tips and tricks on how to stay on a surfboard. He demonstrated both good and bad posture and explained where you needed to put your weight. Like this? Wiggled your body so that you were more in the center of your board. Cove nodded. Yep, just like that. The little lesson continued and... I mean, I would say I'm a prodigy, but I have absolutely shit control of my limbs, so I would struggle. Cove tried his best as he could to help you improve. It was difficult for the both of you to work it out, though progress was made. Since you weren't truly ready for it, Cove never pushed you to start taking on full waves. Oh no, which means he didn't either! No! I don't want that! Instead, he was stuck by your side in calmer seas to assist with your practice. There was no disappointment on his face over how things played out. Even if you hadn't reached the point of doing any real serious surfing yet, it was still a lot of fun. Many laughs were shared between the two of you. What an afternoon. No, I feel bad though. I don't want him to not surf because of me. Should I reload? But I haven't saved in a while. Oh, I feel bad. The setting sun was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it had sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. You knew you should get out of the water before it was completely dark in the sea. You rode one last wave to get back to the beach. There you picked up your surfboard and gave it a quick once over. Cole followed behind you to the shore. He put his board with his other things and grabbed his towel to start drying off. As he ruffled his hair with the towel, you watched the sunset together. The colors were beautiful in the distance, and the shadows around you deepened. There was no need for words between you two as you both enjoyed the sight for a moment. Cove broke the silence. The waves were good today, I think. Perfect for surfing? He nodded mildly. They chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out and all you heard was the rhythmic sound of waves. Then Cove sighed. The day can't be over. Not yet. He scowled into the distance as if the sun exiting the sky was a personal offense. Don't you think it should be longer? Yeah, I guess. Let's just go with the vibe. Cove stood up straight in defiance of the approaching darkness. I'm not gonna go home yet. I want to go somewhere. I don't know. Cove was still dripping in salt water, so you weren't sure what the alternative was. Wetsuits were fine for the beach and not much else. It wasn't a good idea for him to lug his surfboard around town either. I want to absolutely bully him, so you'll be real cute in that wetsuit wherever you go. Cove's face and ears flushed red as he looked down and inspected himself. He crossed his hands over his chest self-consciously. He had been so used to wearing it that Cove hadn't given his current choice of dress any thought. At least that was before you pointed it out to him. Stop it. Oh, cute. Then he looked down the shore with wide, shining eyes. There's at least one place that's always okay to hang out in, no matter what time it is: the park. You nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went over there nowadays if she was looking for you. How times have changed. She used to be so protective of the place. In fact, the only person there was a chance of running into might be that Jeremy kid again. You brought the idea up to Cove and he cringed, but I'm still going. The sun is still there a little. I'm staying out as long as it is. I'll tag along. Okay, let's go. Cove took a minute to put his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though that didn't take much care to shake the sand off. You dealt with your own things. I stuffed everything together quickly. I am not a tidy person. I'm done, Cove. He rolled his eyes with a bent smile at the announcement. He led the way down the beach to the park. It wasn't far, so it didn't take you long at all. The sun still hadn't completely disappeared just yet when you made your arrival. Cove stuck his surfboard upright in the sand and tossed his towel over top. By now, the two of you were mostly dry. The summer breeze on your skin kept you pleasantly warm. Cove idly went over to the monkey bars. He grabbed them, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to grow cross. He had definitely grown in the past few years. You had also outgrown the monkey bars. You were way too tall to play on them properly anymore. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cove pulled himself up and through, then sat on top of the bars. His legs dangled off the side of the bars he perched on. I would just sit on the swing. You sat right down on the free seat and started swinging your legs. First slowly, but then you added more power to your kicks. Air rushed past your face and ruffled your hair. You built up enough momentum to let it carry you. It was a lazy arc, not high or fast, perfect for having a conversation. This reminds me of when my library in university finally finished renovating and they actually have a table in the middle of the library and the chairs are swings. I love that fucking table, but it was always full. The moment I got a turn on the table, I did not let go. Guess what? He smiled broadly and raised an eyebrow. He's not here. Right, it was true. There wasn't a single sign of Jeremy. Looks like it was just going to be the two of you tonight. Cove hung his head and groaned dramatically. His eyes widened when he whipped his head back up.
No way.
Still can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. Oh, he's mimicking Jeremy! I thought he's suddenly upset again. You were taken aback and blinked for a second before you realized he was quoting Jeremy. Oh, parents don't know anything! Cove chuckled back at you, amused. You looked around. The old park, the streets you knew like the back of your hand, and the beach. These were your stomping grounds. You wondered how Cove actually felt. How much was his joke just a joke, and how much was he how much was sincere dislike of this place. Moving had never been his choice. Do you actually like this neighborhood? Do you really have to ask that, Vere? Well, I don't know. Cove kicked his legs carelessly as they dangled. He smiled softly. I like it here. I really do. It's a nice place. He didn't hesitate. There were no uncertainty. That was his genuine opinion. Well, of course. I'm here after all. He shook his head with a rueful smile. It didn't take long for the day to finally draw to a close. The sun was gone and it was dark. You chatted a while longer, but it was definitely winding down. I wish days were longer. I wish this day was longer. His feet kicked out. It made him look like a pouty child. Oh well. Cove sighed. It was time to go home. He hopped down from the monkey bars with a thump when his feet hit the ground. He stopped moving your legs and stood when the swing slowed down. The chains rattled and the swing smacked into you a bit, its energy not entirely spent. Cove grabbed his surfboard and threw his towel around his neck. With his water bottle in hand, he was ready. You both began your trek up the road. It was a quiet night, and you didn't run into anyone else. In what felt like no time at all, you had reached your street. As he walked, Cove smiled to himself. It was a soft expression, and you couldn't help but wonder what put it there. Hey, don't keep all that thinking to yourself. I just remember when we were younger. It used to be such a big deal to come home after dark. Couldn't you recall? If you got sandy, your parents would have something to say. If you got wet, your parents would have more to say. And if you came home after dark, well, your moms and his dad better have said it was okay beforehand. You used to need permission for everything. That small comment he made exposed just how much freedom you really had this summer. Cove looked up into the sky, a smile on his face as the two of you walked side by side, reminiscing. When you came to your house, you turned to face each other. Thanks for today, Vere. Thanks for the awesome day. I mean, we learned how to surf. It was nice. Cove waved and you both turned around to your respective houses. This was a pleasant end to the outing, you thought. Time for another drink, because Mao's tired. So many DLCs. Also, I didn't drop my bottle this time. Growing. Early one afternoon, you found yourself in the living room with your family. It was another one of those summer days when it felt too hot to go outside, but it was too uncomfortable to do anything inside either. The air conditioner was cranked up as far as you could negotiate it, but everyone was still being pretty lazy. You, your mom, Harry, and sister were lounging around while the TV blared on in the backdrop, ignored by all of you. You specifically were... I would be spread eagle on the floor. So... How do you drape yourself over the coffee table? Like, do you lay down on it, or... The way I usually sit is honestly drape myself over things, so like the sofa and whatnot. But I don't know how you would drape yourself over the coffee table, but I guess we'll just do that. The surface had been nice and cool to the touch at first, but now your skin was sticking to it. Elizabeth broke the silence with a loud groan. He glanced over. She was lying on her back over the couch, massaging her calf with one hand.
Ugh.
I feel terrible. I'm dying in this house and my legs hurt. Mom looked up from the magazine she had barely been flipping through and frowned, concerned. Could you have strained them somehow? Elizabeth flailed briefly, then flopped onto her side with a sigh. I don't know, it just hurts.
Sweetie.
Ma got up from her seat at the kitchen table and walked over to her sister. She did a light pat on Elizabeth's shoulder sympathetically. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Maybe it's growing pains? You could be taller by next fall. Elizabeth scoffed. She didn't look impressed by Ma's assessment. I'd rather be my height forever than deal with this. Mom walked over too, leaning against the back of the couch. Kids, they grow up so fast. Soon Elizabeth will have a home on her own, maybe even with a nice husband and some kids, if she feels like it. She sniffled loudly and wiped at her eye, but you could tell that it was just a bit. You tilted your head. Even though you knew Elizabeth liked guys, it was hard to imagine her with a boyfriend or a husband. She only seemed invested in hanging out with her group of friends, not chasing after boys. Mom must agree with you because she shook her head.
No.
Let's not exaggerate, she's still practically a child. But if you ever do pursue romance, Elizabeth, you can come talk to me about it. Definitely. We're always willing to lend an ear. Elizabeth's features contorted in disgust.
No.
No way! I am not talking to my moms about that. Mom's jaw dropped, and she gasped in an exaggerated display of shock. Her hand came up to rest against her chest. It really wouldn't be so bad to come to us. I know what it's like to have a crush on a pretty boy or two. I don't, but I can listen anyway. Mom snorted at her own joke, while Mom burst into giggles. They were having a little too much fun at Elizabeth's expense. Elizabeth certainly wasn't feeling the amusement, because she rolled her eyes and sat up.
Thanks.
I'm going back to my room. I'd rather melt alone, thanks. She strode off towards the staircase, taking the steps 2 at a time. Your mom stared at her, then turned to each other with the raised eyebrows. Whoops, looks like we scared her off with all that romance talk.
Well?
Oh well, we'll get her next time. You watched them titter with some surprise. Obviously, your moms liked women, but you had no idea that Ma liked guys too. Today was the first time you had heard her say something like that. Wait, you've had crushes on guys? Since when? Ma turned to you, happy to bring you into things now that you've spoken up. She smiled and nodded. Always, I like both. But I like your mom most out of everyone. She's special. Ma's smile turned all soft in the corners, like it usually did when she looked at her. She pinched Mom's cheek slightly. Mom reached up to cup a hand over Ma's. Even when Ma stopped pulling her cheek, their hands remained clasped together. That's so cute! Aw, Pamela. Ma beamed, then kissed Mom on the cheek she had been pinching before. I would react like this. You cringed. Parents were embarrassing. You slouched down as if that would hide you from the side. Why were parents like that? Mom looked back to you, letting Mom's hand go with a brief squeeze. She settled down next to you, and Mom followed soon after. You know, I'm also here to listen to you whenever you're ready. That offer isn't just for Elizabeth. She bumped her shoulder with yours, a reassuring smile in place. There's no rush, of course. You can take all the time you need to figure out what or who you want.
It's okay.
Don't think you have to stick with whatever you come up with right now, either. Life's nice like that. It can change and you can learn. Mom nodded her agreement. The two of us are happy to hear you out, and we may be able to relate better than you think. Still, we won't push the topic, at least most of the time. She gave Ma the weakest, scathing look possible while being unable to stop grinning. You don't have to. Thanks? I'll just say thanks. I'll think about it.
Wonderful.
Good. That's all we ask for. Mom let out another exaggerated sniffle. It didn't take a genius to realize it was fake. First Elizabeth and now you, Vere? Do you have to grow up? Yes, children tend to do that from time to time. Your parents quickly grew absorbed in their conversation about rearing kids. You took that as your cue to leave, getting up so you could spend some time alone in your room too. They let you go without problem, so you made your way up the stairs. Let out a sigh once you stepped into your room. It was just as sweltering in there as it was in the living room, possibly even a little warmer. You couldn't even open your window since it was hotter outside, and you would just let the AC out. Ah, central AC then. You dragged your feet as you crossed the room. You checked your current sweltering condition in the mirror as you passed by it. Thought back the conversation you had downstairs about growing up and all that. After a moment, you stepped a bit closer to the mirror. You stared into it, then turned away from the surface to look down at yourself. You were definitely growing, alright. It was weird thinking about how you were now, in comparison to what you had been when you were younger. When it came to your body, can I just do my ideal and say I have muscles? Can I just say my ideal? Yes, thank you very much. I'm certainly muscular. You shifted to the side, your head still facing forward and continuing the self-evaluation from this viewpoint. At birth, you were assigned female. And... Wait, you cannot have breasts through hormone therapy these days? That's That's so interesting. You can do that? Huh, I didn't know that, but I had boobs when I was 13. There was no mistaking it, even with your shirt helping to obscure your form. You have boobs now! Thumbs up. Your fingers brushed over your cheeks as you stared at the freckles dusting your features. It was as if they quadrupled in the summertime with all the extra sun. You took a step backwards, finished with your impromptu inspection. You locked eyes with your reflection, cocking your head to the side. All things considered, should I answer honestly, or I'll just say I'll have no idea how to feel. You tilted your head over to the opposite side, as if that would help you make up your mind. It didn't. You shook your head roughly, putting thoughts of what you were turning into out of your mind. This wasn't the time to focus on such things. You had to find something to do in this heat. You shuffled over to your bed, collapsing onto the mattress, your brows scrunched up in thought. Time passed slowly, and to your annoyance, possible ideas about what to do were far and few in between. You weren't sure how long it had been, but eventually you heard your mom call you from downstairs. Vere, there's a call for you. Cove wants to come over. Is that alright? You pricked up at the words, sitting up in bed. You yelled back to her immediately. Yeah! You got to your feet and headed downstairs, eager to see your friend. You needed to go downstairs soon anyway, because your empty stomach told you it was almost time for lunch. Just as you reached the bottom of the stairs, you saw Mom put the phone back on the receiver. She glanced at Ma, leaning her hip against the kitchen counter.
What a pickle.
Well, here comes trouble. We better prepare ourselves. Ma clicked her tongue in clear disapproval of Mom's words. He's such a good boy. Cove never wants to cause trouble. He can just be a bit thoughtless and impulsive. Oh, I know. He's very sweet, but that's what makes it more of a problem. If a stranger or some kid from school was egging Vera on to behave badly, I think we can both agree that she'd do the right thing in the end. But if Cove Holden got into a reckless mood, and I wanted Vera to be part of the ride, can we really be certain of what call she'd make then?
Yes.
I think so. Vera helps Cove settle down. He would have gotten himself in even more trouble without her.
Thanks.
You have a point. Ma just laughed. As she turned away, still snorting, her eyes met yours. She blinked in surprise, then waved at you with an easy grin. Mom looked over, noticing you at the foot of the stairs as well.
Oh.
I didn't expect you to come down already, Vere. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. Called Mom out on her comment. Well, if I hadn't come now then, I wouldn't have heard about everything you said.
Pam.
Oh, you got cocktail.
What?
You were saying things too. I didn't say anything I wouldn't have told to Vera directly. Oh, you're unbelievable. You shook your head at your parents, even as you fought a blush when you remembered what they had been discussing. Alright, you got me. I'm sorry for being gossipy and saying that about your friend. I can be bad too.
Let's go.
Well, get out of your way now. Mom sighed and mocked the feet and made her way down the hall. Ma followed after her with a hushed giggle. I love how the parents are so, into each other. I don't see that very often in real life, so that's great. Now you were alone in the living room, tasked with waiting for Cove. And that was just fine with you. If it hadn't been so hot outside, you would have visited his house a long time ago. You took a seat at the kitchen counter and settled in for the wait. As expected, there was a knock on the door a few minutes later. When you got up and answered, your neighbor was standing on the other side. He came in once you stepped aside to let him pass, giving him a little wave. You greeted him as you typically did. How do I greet someone? I would wave. Wait, a noogie! I wanted a noogie! No! Yeah. When did I last save? Fuck, it's far away. Okay, it's fine. It's my fault for not reading. You waved back, closing the door behind him with your free hand. Cove sighed and wiped his face a bit. You noticed the sheen of sweat across his brow. He must be glad to be back in an air-conditioned place, even if he only had to walk across the street to get there. So, what's with the sudden visit? I don't want to do anything. Not when it's like this. He gestured vaguely to the humid air hanging around.
So...
I thought I could at least do nothing with you. How did you know I was doing nothing? Maybe I had plans. I didn't, so I called. Your mom told me you were free. He got you there. So much for teasing him. I'll get you next time, green boy. Have you had lunch yet? I was gonna do it soon. He shook his head.
Not really.
I haven't really felt like eating because of the heat. Probably should have lunch. I didn't have breakfast this morning. You should really eat properly. Wait, no. I answer all of this. Can I just say all of these? Like, yes, I'm like that I'm like that sometimes too, but you should really eat properly. And we can have lunch together. You know? Like it's all one sentence. I guess I'll say this. You didn't eat at all, then you gotta have something now. You urged Cove in the direction of the kitchen. He stumbled after you. Okay. As one, you headed into the kitchen. You crossed your arms as you glanced around, wondering what you should scrounge up for a meal. I don't want to eat anything that's warmed out. Is there something cold or not cooked? Yeah. After a bit of back and forth, the two of you concluded that you should raid the fridge and cabinet in order to make sandwiches. With that settled, you had planned to decide on the outside layers first. There was a variety to choose from since everyone in your house has their own favorites. There was white bread, wheat bread, sourdough, mixed grains, gluten-free bread, and ooh, pita pockets! That's so fancy! I want that.
Hey.
Could you take the grain one for me? Sure. You reached for the mixed grains, then made your decision. I mean, I usually do white bread, but like, pita? Fuck yeah. Cinnamon swirl? But we're making sandwiches. Why would I use cinnamon swirl? Pita pockets. You pulled out the pita pockets here, setting both items onto the counter. Then you had to decide what the main direction the sandwich would go in. Oh, there's a sweet style. If I'm having lunch, I'm definitely doing salty. Something savory would make it feel like a real meal. As for the specific ingredients, wow, there's a lot. Does this matter at all? Okay, let's start from things I definitely want, which would be... It's a sandwich, right? So, of course, ham. Can I use everything? Mozzarella, of course. Pickles, definitely. Onions, lettuce, definitely. Can I just get everything? I would eat all of this. I would absolutely eat all of this. Damn, I'm out. Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, it's a big sandwich. And then you moved on to condiments. Man, my house never has this many ingredients. For the finishing touch, you intended to top your sandwich with... Ooh, ranch. We definitely don't have this many ingredients. And that was everything. You nodded to yourself with a quiet hum, satisfied. The two of you bustled around the kitchen, opening and closing things in order to collect everything you need for your individual sandwiches. Focus intently on assembling your own, for the most part. When you were close to being done, though, you glanced over at your neighbor. Cove was putting his sandwich together delicately, his brows furrowed and tongue sticking out just barely. There were open jars of peanut butter and honey near his plate, as well as a banana peel. That sounds good! So he was making a peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich mixed grain bread. That sounded great! Maybe you'd had one yourself at a different time. Curiosity satiated, you turned back to your plate and finished your own creation. By the time you were done, Cove had already cleaned up his workstation. He turned to face you, studying your sandwich briefly. He gave it an incredulous look, but didn't question you about it. Good. Done? Yeah.
Cool.
He waited as you quickly returned the ingredients and cleaned a few utensils. Then the two of you collected your respective plates. You both agreed on heading upstairs to hang out in your room. You and Cove entered your bedroom while balancing your food on the plates. Nothing fell, so it was a successful trip. Cove took a seat on the ground, stretching out on the hardwood floor in an attempt to keep a bit cooler. He immediately took a big bite of his sandwich, chewed, and then hummed happily. Do people not climb into their friends' beds? I get on my friends' beds all the time whenever I visit, be it guys or girls. Is that not a common thing to do? The sandwich is really good. At least, that's something. At this point, you sat down and started on your own sandwich. It's yummy. Obviously, you were a pro at making sandwiches. He leaned back on his hands while chewing and glanced around. His every movement was sluggish. Wanna do something? It seemed the plan of not doing anything at all had already worn thin, despite his lack of enthusiasm. Like what? He rolled his head back, looking up at the ceiling. What about tic-tac-toe? I hate tic-tac-toe. I'm bad at games. I don't like games I'm bad at, but sure. You grudgingly humored it. You put your plate to the side and pulled out some markers and scrap paper. As you laid everything on the floor, he scooted back to make more room in front of you. Cove picked up one of his markers with his right hand while keeping a half slice of sandwich in his left.
Alright.
I want to be access, so you can go first. I think that's fair. Good, because I wanted to go first. You prepare to note down your first move, the marker hovering over the paper. Oh. For the first round, you were about to take another bite of your sandwich when a thought occurred to you. I wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs. The TV? It was on earlier, but no one was really watching. Then everyone started leaving the living room. I know I didn't turn it off. It might still be on downstairs with no one there. Cove smiled crookedly at that.
Oh.
Poor show, playing with no one around to enjoy it. What was it? He squinted off into the middle distance, trying to recall the show's name. If I feel like it was some kind of crime-solving drama? Cove nodded sleepily. His eyes closed, then opened again with some effort. Can you give any specifics? Maybe I can guess it. Well... You rested your chin on your open palm, groggily thinking. As hard as you could. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. I remember there was a woman with a long blonde hair, I think? She was the one solving crimes, like as a detective or something. There were scenes in a police station, cause someone got arrested. You lapsed into silence, the both of you thoughtful. Then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but you joined in the laughter anyway.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. Me neither, and I just saw it. Okay, let me actually think. Another round came and went, and Cove grumbled as he readjusted himself. His features were twisted in a grimace. I feel so sticky. I'm gonna be stuck to this floor forever now. Looks like we'll both be stuck here forever then. I'm sticky too.
You're right.
Even when we're gray and old, we'll still be right here. Yeah, we have to accept our fate. Giggled under your breath at such a bizarre scenario. Cove cracked a smile as well. Then you returned to the game. Cove spoke up once more, catching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper between you, his expression thoughtful.
Huh.
You know, tic-tac-toe is such a weird name for a game. What does it even mean? Maybe they named it because people played it with ticks and tacks? Cove raised a skeptical brow. You bit back a laugh and feigned seriousness. Makes sense, because they probably didn't have paper and markers back then. But what about the toes? They couldn't say anything to that. He had you there. With no answer to be found, you returned to the game. Well, by this point, Cove had finished his sandwich. Yours was almost gone too, but now you were getting thirsty. You brought it up to your neighbor. Should we go downstairs to get some drinks? I was thinking that too, but I don't really want to get up. Me neither. You looked over at him, narrowing your eyes with false suspicion. Hey, what happened to you not being able to get up ever again because you were stuck to the floor? That's still true. I mean, we're not actually going, are we? I only thought about it. You rolled your eyes and dropped the issue, defeated. Grove grinned a little at your disappointment over his victory. Oops, it's a tie. Were you out of it? I know I didn't try that hard. Fuck you, I'm bad at it! He smiled at you in an amused way. Somehow weren't surprised by that, despite Cove being the one who suggested the game in the first place. He started to yawn, his hand coming up to cover his mouth, quickly transitioned into a small laugh. You understood why, yawning just as he said You understood why, yawning just as he said he was feeling disinterested was kind of a funny coincidence. You were the one who wanted to play in the first place. Cove just grinned and flopped onto his back, leaving his marker on the floor beside him. Stay seated, looking your friend over as he stretched himself out. You really are so tall now. Cove snickered a bit at the random topic. He propped himself up onto his elbows to meet your gaze. Why are you even bringing that up? You shrugged. It made perfect sense to you to bring it up. My moms were talking about me and Elizabeth growing up, getting bigger and stuff.
Oh?
What kind of stuff? Well, Mom only likes women, and Ma likes women too, but not just women. Yeah? Since the two of you were engaged in conversation, Cove got back into a sitting position. He brought a knee up and rested his arm atop it. Wistful expression overtook his face. I wonder when I'll know how I feel about that kind of thing. You don't know? Cove shook his head. I've heard at some point you're supposed to start liking types of people, guys or girls or whoever.
I don't know.
But I haven't. Nothing's changed. Maybe I have to grow up more. Maybe you just don't like anybody. Or maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too. Cove seemed to appreciate the thought, if the smile that appeared on his lips was any indication. Okay, what about you? Who do you like? He turned his attention to you, looking Wow, I don't know a simple word. Encouragingly. Encourage. I'm opening Google Translate. Encouragingly? No, I don't think so. That sounds dumb. I hate this. Why do I not know a simple word? Can you load faster, computer? Okay, while doing that, let's save. Yes. My computer is shit. Encouragingly. Encouragingly! Yes! Encouragingly. I only have physical attractions in specific cases and situations. But specifically when it came to how you felt towards boys, you found him attractive. You thought you'd be happy to be with a guy someday. And how you felt towards girls? I'm not generally interested, but there are special exceptions, definitely. Like the WWE girl, that like mommy with the black lipstick and like super hot goth makeup. Definitely a special exception. For people who aren't exclusively male or female, I've never thought about it. I don't care. Like, if I like them, I like them. You returned your contention to Cove. He was waiting patiently for your response. Sure, let's explain. He nodded understandingly at your attempt to describe how you felt. Then he scratched the back of his head, sheepish. I'm not really sure how we ended up talking about all of that when we started out just playing tic-tac-toe. But it was good, I think. The conversation had a mind of its own. Cove chuckled a little bashfully. He glanced around, clearly scrambling for something to say. So, have you gotten any new accessories or stuff recently? Oh yeah, I can't believe I almost forgot to tell you. The conversation took a lighter turn after that, and he felt like he got closer that afternoon. Finally, the blazing sun began to set. To your relief, the air cooled down a bit as a result. You pulled yourself off the floor, asked at Cove, with some minor complaint. You both stretched your arms, groaning, and yawned into your hands. You glanced out of your window briefly, taking in the soft reds, pinks, and purples of the late afternoon sky. Somehow, you had made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned towards you, motioning towards your window with his chin. Wanna go outside? Might be better out there than it is here now. Let's do it! I'm sick and tired of being cooped up inside all day. The two of you took your time heading downstairs. You stopped briefly to grab a drink of water, then continued on your way. You stepped outside, one after the other, your destination being the familiar hills behind your house. This time of day, it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt the breeze cool your heated skin, and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath. I really love it out here. I want to bully him, but I don't know if it's the right moment to bully him, so let's just try. Your opinion sure has changed since you were first on this hill. Cove chuckled, not even attempting to deny your words. A beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again. I'm glad I met you, Vere. You're really important to me, you know? Oh, baby! You're special to me too, Cole. That's when I would blush. I feel like I would blush. No, I don't know. What would I say? You're being too sweet? That's how I react when my friends say that. To your surprise, he slowly shook his head. It's not sweet. It's just the truth. Aww, baby. Then Cove rested an arm on one of your shoulders, leaning against you. Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could. That was so cute! I like that! Okay, drinking time! I might also need to go to the toilet, actually. So be right back. back. Thank you for waiting. Okay, now the next one is family. The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of the heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. Is the mic okay? Wait. Okay, it should be fine now. You and Lee had spread out on a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier in the day, and while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on the hill had been the choice you both settled on. Picnics are so cute. A small spread was laid out in front of you, some bottled water, some soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up and reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk away about the music. Musicals! Talk away about the musicals she had gotten to see a few days ago. It was unbelievable. There was singing, dancing, and crazy stunts, and it was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've gotta see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. And she was good at it too. You had gotten the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you know she had put quite a lot of effort into it. Well, for me personally, I like to sing, but I'm not very good. That didn't stop you from doing it though. I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show? Think of how fun it would be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some of her people, other people, to come and watch too. It would totally work. The idea gave me stage fright. Absolutely. But wouldn't showing off to everybody be fun? The thought of an audience made you feel queasy. Not really.
Are you sure?
Are you really super sure? You have so many skills you could show off to the masses. I'd rather do something else. Lee seemed a little disappointed, but she nodded and respected your wishes all the same. What did you have in mind? The two of you lay back on the blanket and lazed in the sun, throwing ideas back and forth on what you could do to fill your time with. The beach was nearby, so you could go swimming or collect shells, or find something to do back at home after all. In the end, nothing was tempting enough to move you from your current position, so you continued chatting with Lee and nibbling on your snacks while the sun traveled in the sky overhead.
Alright.
So, how are your neighbors doing? You haven't spoken about them lately. You knew Lee wasn't talking about neighbors generally, or down the street. She wanted to hear about the Holdens across the road. It was no secret that she liked to keep up to date on what was happening with them, or more specifically, Cove. There weren't many other people your age around to talk about. They're great! That's good. I hope I got to see Cove again. She was wanting something juicier about it, couldn't be helped. Lee loved to chat about others' relationships and would always ask you for the details on people you both knew. Hey, did you want to see if Cove would join the picnic? I like being just us sometimes. Lee lit up, her smile spreading across her face. Yeah, we're the best. The sun slowly began to set, the sky turning a rosy pink and then warm orange. It's too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. I really like him too. I knew you would. So, exactly how much do you like him? Or maybe there's someone else that I haven't heard of yet? This is me. This is me when I talk to my friends. Lee wriggled her eyebrows at you suggestively, and you knew exactly what she was implying. Lee, there's nobody I like that right now. Lee huffed in disappointment, pursing her lips together. Darn, but you promised to tell me if that changes, right? I'll do it for you. I'll tell. Yeah! It's a deal, Dan. Speaking of crushes, there is one boy I think is pretty cute. You leaned back on your elbows and listened as Lee talked about her crush, all in great detail. It was nice to have her telling you a little gossip for once, rather than always trying to get it out of you. Finally, you both decided to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you and Lee, frowning slightly. You had interrupted something. Exactly what? You weren't sure. What's going on? Your moms looked at each other, wondering which one of them was going to speak first. Eventually, Mom cleared her throat and spoke.
Oh.
We're just having a talk with your sister. The room fell quiet again, with no one quite knowing what to say. You felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last long. You don't have to stop just because those two are here. There's no reason to try keeping it a secret. Elizabeth was mad, with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your moms nodded in agreement with her.
Well,
Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Her biological ones. The world spun around you at the news. You couldn't understand. Why was this happening now? When you glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably, as though she didn't know whether she should be here or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your moms had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them had given birth to you or your sister, but the details hadn't been fully explained before. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just hadn't ever thought you would accidentally stumble into it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. We don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past, but we did want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Well, it's happening now, so... Meow, 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 meow. Hi, Unli. Welcome. You woke up early today. We still have a little bit before we change games, right? I want to at least finish the step 3 of the chapter. No, step 2 of the chapter. So yeah. Your mom shared a nervous glance, and Ma took in a quick breath before speaking again. Lying about what? Huh? I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. You can adopt cross-country? I didn't know that. Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting upwards in surprise. I always wake up at 9:15 my time when we have our lesson. Oh, I didn't know that. Wait, I wasn't born here?
no.
You weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information, struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Am I going to have to pass some tests to even be a citizen?
No.
No, you weren't adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the US. Nothing can be held against you. Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information but still far from happy. Who were my parents? As people, why did they put me up for adoption in the first place? Ma softly put her hand over Elizabeth's shoulder, trying to provide some support before she finally gave her the answer.
I am so sorry.
I'm so sorry, sweetie. Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was torn between emotions. Her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. Great, so I can never meet them, even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyway, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive. Elizabeth turned her back to you and your moms and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs to her room before anyone could stop her. You have to go and talk to her. Ma immediately started to follow her, but Mom gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm sorry you had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the topic of the day, Bere, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know, after all. Lee patted your back and gave you a supportive look. I'm curious, but as the player. Your parents both nodded in sync to your reply, ready to talk. I can leave if you want things to be private. It's okay. I can do that. Lee shifted a little closer to you in support, and you were glad to have her there with you. It made you feel a little stronger somehow. You turned to face your parents again, preparing yourself for what they were about to tell you. Ma was the first to speak, her voice quivering with emotion. You were adopted as a baby, but 2 years after Elizabeth. We used a different organization that time, and you were adopted within the US. We're sorry to tell you, Vere, your parents had also passed away, and no other family member took you in, if there were any. That's why we wanted to wait until you asked. We didn't want to suddenly drop that in your lap. We wanted you to be prepared.
I'm sorry.
We're sorry, Vere. Lee gave you a reassuring squeeze on the arm to show she was there for you. I cannot pretend I know why adopted kids would be angry knowing that their biological parents pass away, but I'm just gonna say thank you for telling me and be polite. I did want to know, and now I do. Thank you for listening, Vere. If there's anything else you want to know, all you have to do is ask. We'll do our best to answer any questions you have.
Are you okay?
How are you feeling now? Are you going to be okay? Leah watched you closely, as though judging how exactly she should react to what was going on. I feel fine? You spoke with a refreshed tone, as though you had a load off. Your mom smiled sadly, but you knew they believed you. Hey buddy, by the way, you're adopted, see ya. Well, no, we already know we're adopted. I mean, we have 2 moms. I would assume I'm adopted, no? Is that not the first thing you think of if you have 2 moms? No one seemed to have any words after that. I'll go see Elizabeth. I feel like I need to console her. You were worried about Elizabeth. Even though she had been so angry when talking to your moms about everything, you could see that she was clearly sad. You headed over to the stairs and up to her room. Does Lee want to come? I feel like poor girl is just here for a visit and like... Let's see, does she want to? Okay, I guess she wants to. Waiting in front of your sister's door, you raised a hand to knock on it. There was no answer for a good minute or two, and when you jiggled the handle, you found it was locked. Raising your head again, you knocked louder this time, thinking she must have her headphones on and so couldn't hear you. I think of alien kidnapping. This is not The Sims 2. And that would be biological. No? Technically? Half biological? Parent? Yeah? When she still didn't answer the door a second time, it was clear to you that she either still couldn't hear or was just straight up ignoring you. It hurts to be shut out, especially right now. If I go out of the house, will Lee come with me? Because I really feel like she's just there, you know, while the family problems are blowing up. I feel bad for Lee. I'm gonna go out, just for a little while. I'll be back before it's really late. Your mom's nodded in understanding, trusting you to make the best call for yourself. Lee's footsteps echoed from behind, and you knew she was following you. That's good. Yes. Can you come with me? You know I can. She gave you a small smile and walked with you towards the door. And like, we can just hang out, bro. I feel so bad for her. She got stuck in the middle of all this. Without knowing where you really wanted to go, you began to walk down the street quietly, dragging your feet. Lee's footsteps echoed on the pavement behind you as she caught up, falling into step beside you. You turned and kept walking, unsure of what else to do. Everyone else had been so upset, and you didn't have the first idea on how you could help. Eventually, you found yourself at the beach, your feet sinking into the soft sand while you looked out over the ocean. You You took off your shoes and paced the sand over to the water's edge, letting the cool ocean swirl around your bare feet. It was comforting being there, with the ocean breeze rustling your black hair and the smell of salty water filling your nostrils. Eventually, you took a seat down on the ground, watching the sun as it dipped down further and further towards the horizon before it disappeared completely. Your cousin stalwartly kept you company without trying to force you into speaking. I like Lee. Lee is a very good girl. The sky shifted from blue to pink to orange and then the deep blue of night. A sudden shout drew your attention away from the sea. Someone was calling your name. Your head snapped to the source of yells. At the edge of the beach, where grass met the sand, was a silhouette in the darkness, but the person was still unmistakable to you. It was Cove. What was he doing here? His eye settled on you ahead. Realizing you were in fact there, he rushed down the shores to where you sat. You could tell he was out of breath when he approached. You rose to meet him. Cove? Did something happen? No, not to me anyway. I want to know what happened to you. I went to your house to say hi, but your parents said you were gone, that you needed to get away.
What's wrong?
I mean, I had to think something was going on after something like that, so I came to find you. What a sweet boy! I would totally have a crush on him. He's a sweetheart. Lee gave him a smile, but put a supportive hand on your shoulder as you now had to try explaining this to someone. I'm definitely not gonna immediately go, yeah, my parents are dead, because, that's... I feel like it's a little selfish to suddenly say that. Well, then again, if you're in a bad mental... It depends on the person, I guess. Thank you for coming. I feel like that's the best. Like, acknowledge that he came here because he's worried about me. Cove's head furrowed in concern at your words. My mom and dad who gave birth to me, they're dead. Without having to say anything else, Cove reached out and pulled you into a tight embrace, its familiar warmth enveloping you. Poor Lee, man. She's just there, vibing. I'm sorry, Vere. His words were whispered comfortingly into your shoulder. I'm okay. I'm glad you are. Still, he didn't let go. Can you explain everything to me? You nodded softly before taking in a heavy breath and launching into the story. Cove sat quietly and listened attentively, nodding every now and then or taking in a sharp inhale. It took a long time for you to relay the details. Dozens of stars were pinpointed in the sky as the night wore on. Silence settled between you and Cove, as Cove sat quietly for a moment, contemplating everything you had said. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, drifting through the night towards you. Vere?
I'm so sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened to your parents. So sorry. He stopped suddenly and took in a deep, shaky breath, and you got the impression he was struggling with what was right to say. I don't know what to feel. Everything was so overwhelming. It was difficult to get a good grasp. Vere, you're not doing anything wrong. You know that, right? I think that you can be as sad as you want for as long as you need. Or you can feel okay about it whenever you want to. I like that. That is good. That is good. Because everyone's coping mechanisms and everyone's reactions to a stressful situation is so different. I like that. He sighed and ran a hand through his hair, and he looked out over the ocean.
It's okay.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever you feel about it is how you feel about it. You don't have to force yourself to be different. I like that. Thank you, Cove. His words had made you feel better, and you knew it was true. You didn't have to apologize or make any excuses for the way you felt about it all. Cove smiled at you a little, and you could tell he was trying to be comforting. And your moms definitely don't. It doesn't matter if you're not blood related, you're definitely family. I can see that, and I hope you can too. You felt the reassurance in his eyes. Your cousin tried not to interrupt your explanation or Cove's response to it. When the opportunity arose, she made it clear she shared the same sentiment. Hey. The sudden voice of your sister behind you made you jump. You saw her standing a little way away. She walked closer, and you didn't know what to do, or what she was planning on saying.
So?
Would you mind going? I want to talk to just Vere. You can come back. It's not gonna be forever or anything. Cove seemed equal parts concerned and skeptical. Leaving now wasn't a concept that thrilled him. Lee wasn't exactly jumping to go, so she checked with you quietly. The MC has such great friends. I'm so happy for her. What do you think? Yeah, we should talk with her.
Really?
Then we're on the same page. She made a little move along gesture with her hands, and it was settled. He waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. Elizabeth folded her arms, looking you over. Did moms tell you about your parents too? They also died. Elizabeth broke eye contact after that.
Sorry.
Why did you want to talk to me? I went to see you and you didn't even answer. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the news.
What?
I didn't hear anything. Shutting everything out with loud music was very typical of your sister. You didn't feel much less confused though. Why did you stop doing that then? She shook her head, as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, but I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. Aww, sweetie. She sighed, glancing upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened without everyone breathing down our necks. Thank you for thinking of me. Like, when someone is doing psychology lesson time, when someone is doing something nice that you want to encourage, you should absolutely not draw attention to it. Like, oh, that was pretty crappy of you to just bail, or I'm amazed you noticed that was unkind. That is so not good for habit making. So like, you should just acknowledge it, that it's good, and give positive reinforcement, which is like a compliment or like a thank you or something. So thank you for thinking of me. She stuck her nose up a little at that, but her smile was soft. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me.
Hey.
How are you allowed to be that mature? The lightening spirits in her were quickly gone, as she slipped back into a scowl. You have to be born in the US to become president. She wanted to be a president. Oh, honey. Oh, now I understand why she's so upset. What? You had never heard of that dream of hers before. She noticed your bafflement and continued. I get I was never gonna be president, but it just feels weird. Having stuff taken away, not even getting a chance at it. I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was gonna have a completely different life. So different I can't even think about what it would look like in my head. I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I've ever seen here. Had someone else as my sibling. And then my parents died, and I was adopted, and the life I got became a totally new thing forever. I understand that to some degree. I can't go back to what it was, even if I wanted to. Heaviness settled between you and the person who became your sister. I understand what you feel. It was a confusing feeling, to having lived one way for as long as you can remember, but not having it be what was originally yours. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you and herself. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. It was just me and my mom's in the living room. I just kind of said it, finally, and there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also spoke more gently. And learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family, Vere. She smirked, fixing you with sharp eyes. I'd already figured a long time ago that moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. Technically, one of them could have been related to you. That was what I thought. Like technically. Our moms can have kids, just not both together. True, but I'm not half white or native Hawaiian, so no, neither of them could have been my mom. I don't know. I don't assume what your race is just from looking at you.
Nice try.
Nothing about the family I was first born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped you'd be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulder against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little sister.
Aww, that is so sweet! I'll bump her back. You'll always be my family too. Chuckling, she seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end. Ready to head back home? It's been a long day. You gave her a nod.
Come on.
Come on, you three, let's go. We walked home together in a nice, comfortable silence down the well-worn street. The familiarity of it all felt nice. When you stepped through the door, you found your moms quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. Their heads snapped up and they got to their feet to meet you, Ma giving you a careful smile. We're so glad to see you. Everything is alright. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Really wonderful. Ma then came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
We really couldn't have asked for better, kiddos. More than we could ever say.
Ah.
We're so glad your moms are alright. I love you too. You let them hug you for as long as they needed, and it was a nice moment shared between you. They both pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew then that you all had each other, and you always would. Well now, since we're all here, how about we do something together as a family? That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night's over.
Totally!
I love the sound of that. Yeah, okay. Why not? You hid the smile that threatened to tilt your lips, knowing that Elizabeth must have been in a good mood if she hasn't teased Cove for being part of it. No matter what she could have said about it, you wanted him to be here. The two of you had practically grown up together over the past 5 years. Who's got a suggestion? Should be something we can all do here in the house, or with everyone in the same room. We could just put on a movie. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
It's good to me.
Me too!
Yeah. I'm happy with it.
Alright.
I'll cook up some popcorn! The rest of you can pick a movie. Your mom headed off to the kitchen, and Ma turned to face the rest of you. What do we have in mind? Everyone else can decide. I'll watch anything. Anything but drama. We don't need any more of that today. There were some chuckles at her joke, but you thought about what you would prefer to watch. I always watch rom-com. I don't actually like romance, despite the medias I consume, but I love rom-com. Cool! Perfect. With the basics settled, Ma took to sorting through the DVD collection. You didn't notice that Elizabeth was sidling up to you until she was right next to you, arm to arm. Aww! Since there's only so much room on the couch, I say you should go to Vera and I. This is our day. Wait, I wanna sit with you too? I'm small. You won't even notice I'm there. Elizabeth raised a skeptical eyebrow, not so sure about that. Ma stood back up with a DVD in her hand and a smirk on her face.
Please?
I want to sit with the cool kids too. Surely there's room for one more, right? It might be a tight fit, but we can make it work. Could tell that Ma was teasing, and Elizabeth rolled her eyes at where this was going. She had expected an easy victory. I bet you want to sit there too, huh, Cove? Ma tapped Cove on the shoulder with the DVD case. He laughed awkwardly at her teasing. There's enough space for everybody. Oh, there's not enough space. If this happens to me, I would go, I don't need to sit on the couch. I can sit anywhere. It doesn't matter to me. Mom came back with a big bowl of fresh popcorn and you inhaled the smell of the whole hot, solid snack. What's the skinny? I'll want to sit with Elizabeth and Vera, but there's not enough room on the couch. Mom took that answer in stride and pursed her lips thoughtfully.
What a pickle.
That's definitely a problem. I suppose there's only one solution. Elizabeth and Vera will have to sit on the floor in front of the couch. That way there's spots behind them and on the floor at their sides.
Yes.
Look at her face! Oh yes, that's fair. What? No, the whole point was us getting the couch to ourselves.
Sorry.
Sorry, that's the cost of popularity. Elizabeth groaned and crossed her arms over her chest in annoyance. Fine. There, you're with me in front. The rest of you can fend for yourselves. There was a mad dash as Mom and Lee raced for the couch behind you, and Elizabeth and Ma put the DVD in the player before joining them. Cove took a seat on your other side on the floor, giving you a small smile. Everyone soon quieted down, and the only sounds to be heard were of hands scooping up popcorn and munching it down as the movie began. In that moment, you couldn't have been more pleased to be part of this family that you had. That is so sweet! That is so cute! That is such a cute family! I love that! That is adorable! Aww. Okay, I'm gonna drink again, and then we can do the dinner. Actually, will we have time for dinner? Actually, maybe not. I don't think we can. I don't want to be late for my next game, which is what's it called? Glass Heart Princess with Unlighted. So I might actually just stop here. So Unli doesn't scream at me. He doesn't scream. He's very nice, but yeah. But okay, that means I will be right back while I change my games. So be right back.